practical guide for DMs, GMs, and just wanna BMs and other folks too. This is a podcast where we answer questions and talk about role-playing games such as Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but mostly from a DM's perspective. I'm Spencer Crittenden, and I'm sitting here coming to you live, not live, with my buddy
Cohen Edenfield. Hey, I'm also here.
He is, you are?
I'm just some guy, man.
No. You're that guy.
I am. I'm this. If you're listening to this is our 7th episode. Wow.
Oh yeah.
So by now you either know me or this is the first one you're ever hearing. In which case, I'm wonderful, and
I'm not bad either.
Yeah, and Spencer's great too.
So we're here.
Coming to you from Starburns.
Yeah, the Starburns industry
upstairs.
We're
not in the podcast lab.
Right. No, we're just hanging out, sitting on some couches, looking at some walls, looking at some doors.
Just in a dark old building.
Oh yeah, it's scary. People love it.
It's some real Dumbledore in his office shit here. It's like I don't know where it's going.
No, it is Dumbledore shit, and let's drill into that.
Okay. I think he was an irresponsible caretaker of those magical youths.
Yeah, I think he kind of the buck stops with him, and so he really fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying he it was on him to prevent Voldemort, although, should have.
I think we're finding out that he could have done more, though.
He could have done more. What have you been up to?
I don't know. Do you do any DMing lately?
No, we've had to. It was one of our people was at Dota, the International, which is. Do you know what Dota 2 is? It's like a game.
Defense of the Agents is the original. What do you call it? Tower defense game. So League of Legends, Heroes of New Earth, Heroes of the Storm are all tower defense games, which are all derivatives of Dota 2, which is a derivative of Dota 1, which is a custom map,
custom for Warcraft 3.
Warcraft 3.
Yeah, okay.
It's an entire genre that came
weird
out of one map.
I had a friend who played that like when I was like 14, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of interesting."
Yeah,
kind of neat, pretty obscure. I was like, "Huh." But I literally had the thought, but it won't go anywhere. I was like the guy from a trailer where where like the hero of the movie is like trying to build a time machine.
Yeah, you're disapproving dad.
I'm like, you'll never get anywhere.
Right. That's so funny. I mean, there's a part of that whole experience which is like a very concentrated one-shot version of like the entire MMO PvP experience. You're getting equipment, you're building up levels, you're getting more skills,
but it all happens within that one.
Yeah, within 20 minutes.
Yeah,
or so.
It's like super dilated, like you live and die.
Yeah, like mainlining MMO PvP combat or something.
And my friend Casey was sending me like pictures because she was at this tournament, and it was a picture of the stage. And what I did not know is that they make I don't watch a lot of esports. Secrets out, but I did not know that they make the guys play, and gals, although I think it was just guys in this one. They make them play in a glass prison on stage.
Right, so you can't...
They can't hear the announcers.
No LAN hacking, yeah.
And it's just so... Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I completely understand why they make them play in like a glass punishment cube. But it is also like... They are in a glass cube, so if you're watching, you see like a dim outline of some dudes, and a screen with people playing it, and the announcer is describing what's happening. But it feels like you could do most of that from home.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I guess people have a good time. It's the same reason people go to things.
I mean,
who am I?
I never understood why people would like go to sports events when you could watch them on TV, and I assumed it's the same convention.
Oh yeah, I have been to, I think, about three sporting events in my life, all with the same person. Like, took me to them.
So that story just reminded me of a story I heard on the Magic Drive to Work podcast. Mark Rosewater talked about it. There was like this big tournament that was public, so it was in front of a big audience, but because the audience can kind of tip the events.
This is about Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering, the trading card game. We talked about it last episode. If you want to check out Magic Arena beta, you could get a free beta key on
Not
Twitter
from us,
or something.
Though.
Yeah.
Although maybe we could.
if you ask nicely, I might no promises, but you never know. You get, it's easier to find it elsewhere though. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, they put the audience in a whole different building that was separated by physical space, so it wasn't like the next room of a building. They put the audience in a different building so that the audience reaction would not reveal to the players playing what was happening.
This is exactly it. I was asking my friend. I was like, couldn't they like tell from like the audience? Could they ever tell from like the audience stuff?
100%.
And she said they can't yet, and she referred to it that would be tactical roars. And I thought that was a really fun turn of phrase.
Tactical roars.
Yeah.
But so anyway, there was like the final match, it was down to the wire. It was a case in Magic where someone was waiting on one card, and if they drew that card, they won the game. And if they did not draw that card, they lost the game.
And did they do the like World Series poker where there's like somebody, just an announcer, like,
yeah,
saying, if he gets a time walk,
it's over. Yeah, there was the announcer, but the announcer was in the room with the audience, so that the announcer would also tip it to the players. So the announcer's announcing based on the screen and stuff, and so they're playing, and the guy draws the exact card he needs, and the crowd goes so wild that the other guy can hear him from the other building, and was just like, I mean, I don't think he said that, but that was the vibe, and that's just so. I mean, it's such this. I don't know. Whatever. I just wanted to repeat
really
the story.
Funny.
Yeah.
No, it's. I'm sorry I hopped ahead. With
No.
mine, because that's literally. I can't believe that's what happened.
It's so funny to think about, like that you could, because they did it just to avoid that exact thing happening.
I guess like when they're in their punishment cube and they're playing the game, there's like there's audio from the game which they're listening to, which that probably affects. But if it's not, it's louder than the. When I think about people playing card games in a battle type setting, I guess what I always picture is Yu-Gi-Oh! And the holographic projectors and all that,
which we need to build. That's a really cool thing.
Get on that,
yeah, really.
You want people to watch Magic, like
get some dual discs.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, so I did DM a tiny bit. As of last night or whatever, we did play D&D on Harmontown. So last we left off, our heroes were traveling to the next city where their next mission was, and they found a cult. Now our group is part of a church whose job is to smite evil.
I think we've heard a little bit about this on the show.
Probably a little bit.
Or some of the plans for.
Oh yeah,
when we were talking about knuckleheads.
Yeah, when we were talking about knuckle lords and stuff.
Yeah.
But so they're part of a church, and then they were talking to this cult, and then the cult wasn't that bad, and then they left the cult, just kind of left them alone. And then they ran into another cult because I was kind of out of stuff to do, and I was like, oh, what's next? And so there was a different cult, and this cult was actively summoning a demon. So two of our heroes, as good church-fearing, God-fearing people would do, went up to the cult and offered to help. And so they took their place in the summoning circle, and they helped open a portal to Demon Land, and a giant, like 30-foot demon started coming through the portal, and that was the cliffhanger. So when we came back, I was like, you guys, I don't know why, but you summoned a demon. I don't know what's going on. And so Dan was like yelling at the party. He's like, we're supposed to be stopping evil, not literally letting it in, and then eventually they were like, maybe we should stop helping out with this magical ritual. And that destabilized the portal, and it got the demon like half stuck in the portal.
There you go.
And
Pooh Bear style.
Yeah. And that's like basically all that happened, but it was just really nice. It was really fun. There's some character role playing and stuff. And there's, I don't know. They kind of fumble and stuff, but it felt really good to really be back in it again. So that was cool.
Has it been a while?
Yeah. It's been like weeks and weeks, maybe like 6 weeks. I want to say.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bummer. Also, they had just finished their last mission. So one of the things that I'm doing this campaign is making a mission complete screen where.
I heard reference to this.
Yeah,
I can't wait until I think I'm at
years.
I'm at September 2013.
It'll take you years.
I don't know. I get through about 3 or 4 a day.
Oh, well, maybe. Yeah, but so
it'll take me months.
The mission complete screen is like, it's mission 1 complete, and then it says like style, like, D, and then time, B, and then virtue, which is like how moral or non-murder hobo they were, and then that's like a D, and then it does like collateral damage caused, and it's like they burnt down a whole
really
town.
Fun. This is like I finished Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep today, and also Donut County. I played some games.
Yeah.
Donut County, I played the whole thing, got all the achievements. Like, it kicks ass. Very good game. I highly recommend it, reading nothing about it and just sitting and playing it. That's a great idea. God, that is so fun.
Yeah, and then at the very end, it's like souls saved, because arguably they're trying to like save people from crazy evil juju. And so in this one, they like burnt down a whole town, almost killed a guy, and they didn't really solve any of the problems. So it's like 0 people saved. And then at the end, it's a final grade, so it's like D+. And so it's just, I don't know, it was a funny moment. I think it's kind of gentle criticism in the sense where it's like, I don't care, but you're not gonna deny that this is what happened. Like, you definitely caused 20,000 GP of damage because you burnt down an entire town.
And that's I mean, you're playing to a crowd too.
Yes,
so that kind of stuff is stuff that might be like might be a little mean at a table or seem like a grumpy DM.
Right.
Plays really well to a crowd because like this is a I think a lot about like performance DM.
Sure.
Like people playing for casts and playing for streams.
Yeah.
I think that what something that plays almost the best is loosely targeted incompetence. Like if they're just kind of going towards the goal and they're gonna get there, and they're lots of silly mishaps and all that kind of stuff. That's what's entertaining. Really, like, brilliant like D&D play of like, I'm gonna do this and I know everything and I've got it. It's not as I feel like it's fun if you're at that table. It's less fun to listen to.
Yeah, I think it definitely caters to a really like gritty, in-depth audience who loves soaking in all of the minutia, but I think it's less casually appealing.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing I used to like when I listened to all of the Adventure Zone in like a few weeks last year, like near the start of last year. I think it was.
And how long is it taking you to get through Harmontown?
Not long. I mean, it's like, I mean, I had more going on.
No, it's a bad joke.
No, it's there's also 5 times as much Harmontown.
Yeah. Bad joke.
But they I would like, if there's something happened in an episode and I was like, oh, that was kind of interesting, I would search like, what was the Reddit thread about this, or like, what were people saying about the Twitter about this like a year and a half ago? So much complaining of like, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? And it's like, God.
Yeah, so far our feedback's been really positive, but in my experience, online RPG fans can be very bad.
Not ours, though.
No, that's what I just said. I said, in my experience, our fans have been great.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to move things along, but it's been a bit. Do you want to crack into the segment?
Yeah, let's. Ooh, yeah, we're gonna Helga Cruciform.
So, do you want to talk the audience through what's happening?
Yes. So, normally what we do is you and I sit here and we just
trade off riffing names.
We try to come up with names on the fly. Something I thought about though was the DM screen actually has a list on it. It's got a table. It's 3 names. It's like 3 segments of names, like little word chunks, like ill or cran or do. So, and you're supposed to just roll a d20 3 times and it'll give you a name. So what I did was I've prepared 7 names, first and last, and I would like to put you up against the machine in a John Henry style. Man versus machine, you versus the DM screen, and me rolling a d20 a few hours ago.
John Henry in the sense that if I win, I will die?
You have to both win and die, or it's not going to be very good for the podcast.
Well, this might color my strategy going forward.
Well, no, I mean, if you lose, you will also die.
Well, there you go. Okay, now I got to give my all.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you ready then?
Yeah, I was trying to think of like how I was going to keep track of, because what I'm also going to do is decide whether you or the computer wins for each one. But I think we should post a poll when the episode goes up to see what the audience thinks.
Right. So vote to see when this goes up. We'll have a poll on Twitter. Vote to see. We'll vote who wins.
Okay.
Yeah. Me or the machine.
All right. Okay.
All right. Are we going?
Ready?
Should I start?
Yeah. We're gonna go with yours.
Okay. Great.
Or no, you know what? I'm gonna go with the machines first, and then you.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1, Avasha Tagranil.
Burial the Unburdened.
I like yours better. Okay.
Okay.
Deshaun Delames.
Harry Petzacottle.
I got to give it to the machine on that one. Relimic Netton.
Stedford Lagrange.
Yours kicks ass. I don't really like Relimic. All right. Shinid Ferronda.
Stubby. Yep. No, I lost.
No, that's the machine. Okay.
I like this.
Amarak Magenic.
Oh, wow. Kent Flicks. Doofle. That's bad. This is the game.
Okay, it's currently 2 for you, 3 for the machine.
All right.
It's best of 7. I forgot to mention that. So you gotta. All right. Jomor Bezanam.
Del Flos Marathon.
No, I liked it.
I'm hanging my head.
I liked it. All right. So this is it. Pamarem Faquilis.
Hurdy McGurdy.
Oh no! The machine has killed.
Oh no!
All right, hold on. Take another track on.
No, I'm going to stand by it.
All right.
But if you disagree, feel free to vote. I'm not saying you should. I think I lost very bad, but I don't want to sway you because this is all about your opinions untainted by us.
I'm going to take a picture of how I kept track of this because I realized I didn't have any paper on hand. I'm going to post this when this episode goes up.
He tallied stuff up with some dice.
Yeah,
It was a genius on-the-fly system.
I had 7 dice on hand, and I had some D20s that I'm very pleased. They're beautiful, personal to me. I'm gonna also take a picture of those.
Yeah, you'll see them. Before or after you listen to this.
One of them was given to me by my friend Evelyn Blackwell. It's a little wooden one with my Twitter avatar on it, and the other one Kate gave to me for my birthday. It's a little 3D printed. It's got skulls and crossbones, and I like it a lot.
This stuff's legit.
And the dice themselves were given to me by my buddy Rick Budd, who does Tempting Fate RPG. They play different... they stream like fun RPGs, usually centered around different pop culture things. I was recently on a Hitchhiker's Guide one. I think they're playing The Rock right now.
That sounds delightful.
Yeah, everybody on it is really fun. And I'm a sometimes guest. I'm not a regular, but I'm a frequent guest.
You're a friend of the show /
there
recurring
it is.
Guest.
That's it. Friend of the show. Motherfucker, that's it.
I've always wanted to be a friend of the show.
I think you're a friend of this show.
No. I'm much more than that, I think.
Yeah.
I'm a friend with benefits. I don't know. Do you want to launch into some questions?
Hell yeah.
Helga Cruciform.
Oh, that was such a good Helga Cruciform. Also, if you come up with any of your own, feel free to tweet them up with the tag Helga Cruciform so we can find them.
Oh, yeah. We're going long, so we're not going to read any off right now, but next time we will.
Yeah, okay.
We could call that segment Helga Cruciform versus the Machine.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right, okay. I'm going to hop right into it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is from Arcady, who asked, "Hey, Spencer and Cohen. I think I struggle with as a new DM is coming up with things in combat that are more interesting than just everybody going around and using their strongest available attack. How do I add narrative richness to combat? Thanks, Arcady in Toronto."
Right. So thanks so much for the question. How do you kind of juice up combat, make it not just pretty straightforward / rote? Like my instant instinct is to vary up the locales. Most combats take place in some approximation of a large rectangular space or something.
Yeah.
Maybe some pieces obscured by cover or difficult terrain, but
whoa, easy there, fucking Shakespeare.
Yeah, let's not fly off the handle here. But like if you put that on, say, an ice bridge, the same exact combat is way, way different, you know?
Yeah.
Then like what, so like varying stuff like that up, there's chases, there's some rules for chases, but like the idea that
chases are rough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They could be rough. There are rules that handle them. I don't know if D&D 5e has those.
It does. I've never been brave enough to try doing it.
Yeah, you also don't necessarily have to use the rules. You just have to make the combat kind of move away so that it's not just as simple as move and attack.
Varying locale I like a lot. And now that I think about it, some of my favorite, like as a player, stuff has happened in like weird locations. Like in a game I played in a game where we were in like the temple of a I think it was like a djinn, and it was on the elemental plane of air, so it was like floating. So there was just these long, narrow platforms between buildings, and we were attacked by like flying things, and we came up with the idea very early on to tie ropes around our waists and then tie those like to the platform so we could like go across these, several hundred feet. And then if we fell, we'd be able to like climb back up. And then we did a lot. Once we had like that edge, a lot of our attacks started to be around trying to knock people off.
Right.
Because we were like, well, if we just knock somebody off, problem solved.
Yeah, and so I think like that's varying the locale. A big simple part of varying the locale can just be adding verticality in a lot of cases. That you don't necessarily have to map that out, but just like if you're in a cavern, maybe there's a high antechamber where there's other passages above you, so there's reasons for other people to be coming in.
Run into the. It's funny because it seems like it's going to be harder for people to keep in their head, but in my experience, the more like concrete details like that, like if you have like a concrete detail, like there's a chandelier,
right,
there's a pit, all of a sudden you're no longer it's not just happening like textually.
It's not on a map.
It's now like there's like a fixed thing that people can latch onto, like, oh, there's a portal or whatever.
Right. It's like a prop. People will want to use it in some circumstances. Like if there's a table, sometimes people will want to flip a table or something.
It's a lot of fun to flip a table.
In addition to varying the locale and the props in the locale, you can also change the objectives. Like in Final Fantasy Tactics, almost all the fights were defeat all enemies, but some of them were like push the switch. I mean, like in D&D terms, it's like maybe there's a hostage, maybe you're trying to protect something, maybe there's something that could break that someone's trying to destroy.
Somebody trying to summon a demon.
Oh, yeah. See,
disrupting the ritual.
That's exactly
change the objectives.
Right.
Or there's whatever, and like putting in a prop that they can use to because it's still going to come to, they're still going to just do killing. Putting in a prop that they can use to fight intelligently and feel very clever is that's really great. Like, put a catapult in there, and then they try to fight somebody on the catapult and fire it.
Or if you're fighting on a drawbridge, now the drawbridge is like a piece of the fight instead of just the place where the fight's happening. It's a movable thing.
Think about exciting fights that you've seen in movies. It's rarely just like, it's rarely just like two guys fighting
in a static location.
It's like, Highlander, they fight all the way up and down, or Princess Bride, they fight all up and down the castle.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is good. Or, that really engaging and fun fight scene from Episode 3 of Star Wars, the 15-minute long lightsaber duel.
I don't watch Star Wars.
Oh, it's really boring because it's too goddamn long.
Yeah.
And it's just, they're like, oh, it's two guys fighting with a glowing sword.
And, they love it.
Yeah, but it's literally 15 minutes long. There are zero stakes. Because it's so long, and you also know it's going to end. It's like, well, I know he's going to turn into Darth Vader, and I know he's not going to die. Right. So I feel like there's 10 minutes left in the last prequel, so I think I know that he's not going to... I think I know how this is going to shake out.
I'm going to become a good Vader now.
Yeah, it shakes out in the most boring way. Like, they fight all over, like, a lava facility, and at the last minute, like, one of them hops onto a little hill next to a lava river before the other one. And he's like, you can't beat me. I've got the high ground. I win. Like, they haven't been fighting at varying verticalities this entire time. And the other guy's like, no, I can win. And he does like a big hop over him. And then the other guy cuts off his legs and one of his arms. And then leaves him to die, like burning to death. Next to a lava river.
That sounds great.
It was fucking gruesome.
You describe it a lot more interesting than it probably plays out.
Oh yeah, well, I didn't take 15 minutes to do it.
That's a good strategy. So you can also make your fights shorter.
Yeah, if it's going on too long, those hit points can always be less. Or maybe they like try to give them, if it's a villain's lair, for instance. If I'm a villain, and jury's still out,
right,
and I know that heroes are going to come try to attack me, I'm going to there's lair actions.
Yeah,
that's why those exist. So you don't necessarily have to do them because maybe they're not fighting like krakens or dragons yet,
right?
But look in the monster manual at like the different things that high level monsters can do and try to scale some of those down as just kind of inspiration.
Yeah, and I think I've seen in modules and stuff, oftentimes when there is like a villain in his thing, like he will have escape routes and tactics if he doesn't feel like he's doing well. And it often puts that in. So if you can read through adventure modules, get some inspiration there. I don't know. But really just there's dials and there's knobs that you can turn and adjust. Yeah. And so just try different things out for that.
Yeah. Also, if they keep always using their strongest attacks, tweak the things they fight at least a couple of times to specifically counter those. I had this in the game that I play on. We have 2 rogues who would just get up high and fire their arrows down. Right. And so we were attacked by a pack of Barghests who can teleport around and are also really hard to shoot, and they attacked us at night, so we had disadvantage on that.
So yeah, that's I thought about that at a point and forgot about it, but that's a really big thing, is vary the challenges that based on your players' capabilities. So if it's say arrows, then you can do something that has damage resistance of piercing or something. If they're using fireball all the time, you can have a fire immune monster. Just change what is a good tactic, or change the system so that something that they're using as a strength isn't as much of a strength, and it forces them to think differently. Or they will do exactly the same thing over and over and I hope it works anyway.
Yeah,
but that's just the game.
But if it straight up doesn't work, like maybe they don't have magical weapons, have them fight a ghost. Then they got to figure something else out, but give them maybe there's a silver chandelier in the room that they can hit the ghost with,
or like if they pray hard enough, maybe it's easier to hit them. I don't know. That was similar to something that happened. I don't want to get into it. Hopefully that answers your question. Do you have any more thoughts?
I think that I'm very glad that we got this question from Arcady in Toronto. And I hope that we helped. Do you want to hop into another one, or how are we doing?
Well, I think we might want to hop into our loot table or brute fable segment.
Oh, hell yeah, we do. All right, who's first?
This is a segment. I feel like
we should write this down.
Who went first? I think you went first last time, so maybe I should.
Yeah, because I did the sweatbands.
Yeah. So this is a segment where we roll some dice and riff some content. We're going to do that. Do you want to just roll it for me, actually, while I pull up the thing?
All right. Oh, you got the skull, which is...
a 1?
Oh, it's a 6.
Oh. So I rolled a 6, which is just magic. It's like a phenomenon of magic, like polymorph is magic, illusion is magic,
so
just like magical shit. Yeah.
So this is like a spell or like an effect?
Effect, a phenomenon, maybe like a condition that permeates an area or zone.
Like a magical mist?
Yes, that exact kind of thing.
Or curse. Okay, I think this one's going to be good for that. It's the 10 of Swords. It's you may have seen this card. There's a good tweet where the 9 of Swords is somebody carrying a bunch of swords, and then the 10 of Swords is somebody weeping in their bed. Their room is full of swords. It's
oh yeah.
It's that good tweet.
Walking home after purchasing swords, and then like realizing something about swords.
Let's link that in the show notes for this.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 10 of Swords, disaster strikes when one least expects it. It is swift and in this case unavoidable. Something here is beyond your control, leaving you with a feeling that you are a victim of your circumstances. So a magical effect.
Well, this is just like...
yeah, but come up with some...
Okay, so what that said is just...
You can also factor in swords if you want.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna. Because that was the only thing I could think of. So this is just Fog of Swords. It's a magical weather pattern. It's related to knife rain, but it's a fog of swords. When the fog rolls in, you fucking better have some thick armor, because it's just it's fog that manifests itself into illusionary swords that cut you.
And they can't miss?
No, they can miss, but it's fog, so like
I was trying to think about like the unavoidable part of it.
Oh, I mean, it's fog. How can you avoid fog?
Yeah, okay. So like, you can't avoid the fog because it's everywhere.
Yeah, you have to like go underground.
No, I'm with you. It's like that's the unescapable part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was short, but I like it. Fog of Swords.
Yeah. Well, what's Fog of Swords? Oh, it's good because it sounds like Fog of War.
Yeah,
that's the pun.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. It's me. Okay.
All right. It's Cohen's turn. He's rolling.
I've rolled a 1.
Which is a brute. We got a humanish brute. So that's like, as opposed to like a giant frog, that's something like a bugbear or an orc or like a gnoll or something. Ooh. We're coming up with a monster that's human-like or humanoid.
All right. I got the Queen of Swords reversed.
Uh-oh.
Cold-hearted, cruel, and bitterness. This woman has the potential to be both incredibly wise, perceptive, and sharp, but also leans more towards cold-heartedness and cruelty if given the chance. Her single-minded focus is piercing, but also leaves others by the wayside. Okay, Queen of Swords reversed. This card, it kind of looks like an angel. Okay, let's see. Wise, perceptive, and sharp, leans towards cold-heartedness and cruelty. Okay, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna keep like a weather, like from the sky going.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that this is an avenging angel for that's kind of riffing from Terry Pratchett, but
let's go with it.
I can't go wrong. Okay, this is an avenging angel for obsolete gods.
Mm-hmm.
And she has, so whenever you desecrate a tomb or like whatever for a god whose power has waned, this is this one holy figure who has to like deal with that and come and like pay out whatever the punishment is.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is she's the only one doing it. And it happens so much because it's D&D world that her list is incredibly long. And most of the time she's like, okay, I'm going to come. She's usually coming after people on the plane that they go to when they die, because it's like she's not going to get to you in time. She's got a backlog of like thousands of people. She doesn't have any support, and so she's usually pretty irritated. So she's coming after like if you're in like, I don't know, the plane of law. I can't remember like enough. I know the
Let's
most
just
about
call it
Kellenborg.
the plane of law.
I know the most about Kellenborg.
Sure.
Because I played a monk of Kellenborg. So it's like that's the afterlife I know most about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're on the planet you're in the Crystal Palace Kellenborg, where you go after you die if you didn't have a god, and it's been like 9,000 years since you like, you know, fucked with that temple of some god who died in the spell plague. Maybe you took some silver rings off a corpse that turned out to be like some interred holy monk.
Mm-hmm.
And she like comes and tries to shake you down for the rings and then tries to attack you. I think it would be interesting to run into this character on when you were visiting an afterlife plane.
Right.
So you'd be encountering her and like maybe she would be pursuing some spirit that you had invoked.
Right. Like the reason you're there is to like deal with or get access to a spirit. And so she's like fucking with your attempts in that sense.
Yeah. She's like, or like, he's like, I'll give you the answers if you can help me deal with this.
Right.
It's like, I don't have these rings. You know, that was 1,000,000 years ago. Maybe maybe they're in my tomb. So then you got to go somewhere else.
That would just be such a bummer. You like go through a couple hundred years of afterlife and then all of a sudden there's all this new shit to deal with. It's like someone's mad at you and it's like, oh God, this is a nightmare.
Yeah. But it's also like you got away with it because there was nobody to, it's like, don't desecrate tombs.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of like, she's going to get to everybody eventually.
Right.
It's just going to take a long time.
Way after they die.
I guess I always like that. It's the same reason I like mummies. I like relentlessness. It's because I saw Terminator 2 in the theater when I was 3.
It's not because you just like fear the long march of time or whatever.
Nah, I just like relentless villains.
Sure.
I like them when they have one thing they're going to do and they're going to do it.
Yeah, there was a bad guy from Bleach. I think his name was Barragan or something, and he was like this big skull guy who like represented the passage of time and death and old age and stuff. He was a really cool villain. Check him out. We'll put that in the notes.
If he came after you like a few times and you were getting tired of it, you could be like, Barragan? Again?
Oh no.
Anyway,
I don't know about that.
I
if you didn't like that pun,
yeah, no, I got to come up with a name for this character.
Right.
Her name is Grieva.
I like that
for grievance.
Yeah. That's a cool name. All right, so that was Loot Table or Brute Fable. Yeah, I was just like, that's a cool name.
You know,
I
was pretty pleased with it.
I liked it. Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, so I don't know. Usually after a segment, we give a call to action. None of that here. So we're going to take a quick break.
Oh, yeah. It's time to go to that commercial.
Well, check it out. You love ale. I love ale.
I don't drink.
But ale isn't great for adventuring, right?
I don't think you drink either.
No, I drink for the purposes of our advertisers.
Oh, right, of course.
And I love ale, but I hate how it affects my adventuring prowess, my skill checks, my general perceptiveness, and it gives me a negative modifier on my wisdom score. That's where Adventurer's Ale comes in.
And it comes in and it yes ends yours. Yes, that's right, Adventure Ale. It gives you a bonus to all those things instead of negatives.
Right. It gives you the opposite of drunkenness. It's what you need to adventure and enjoy ale.
A smooth sip of sobriety.
Right. The great taste of ale, as well as the bitter sting of victory.
Sure. It's good for what ails you.
Adventure Ale. It's good for what ails you. Use the promo code Master Manual at checkout and get an extra bottle.
Yeah. Get an extra sixer from the Sixler.
You do pay shipping.
Yes. In fact, the shipping is... I shouldn't be reading this, but I'm not comfortable with this product. The shipping is going to absolutely gut you. It's very predatory.
They don't want us to say that, and I just want to address that you keep undercutting our advertisers, and I think that's going to bite us in the ass when it comes time to pay out.
This was supposed to be about the listeners.
It is. It's about the listeners and their access to Adventurer's Ale. It cures what ails you.
You know what? Maybe next time I can be in the meeting with the sponsors, and then we, be fine. Whatever.
Yeah, no, we can work that out.
It's
These
fine.
are legitimate.
What do I know? It's fine.
It cures what ails you. And we're back.
I sure did enjoy that suite of products.
You know I did as well. I enjoy all the products we sell. As always, keep the lights on, buy some stuff. It's how we do business.
It's apparently how we do business.
It's the only way I could afford the stuff that I bought to make this podcast.
It's, and that's fair.
I actually have 6 cases of Adventurer's Ale at my house right now, and if anyone wants to buy them from me personally, you don't have to use the promo code. I'll give you half off. So, do you got a question?
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I've got a really good question, I think. It's from Seth Adams. Seth asks...
That sounds like a famous person.
Yeah, he's got either a good name or a bad name, depending on how much he wants to sound like a famous person.
Sure.
Seth Adams asked, "Hi guys, I feel like a lot of time with my D&D campaigns, I have trouble keeping players motivated. How do you find a line between rewarding them with money and treasure, but still keeping them wanting to keep exploring?" And then asked Seth for some follow-up on this. He said, "I guess what I mean is, how do you give your players priceless magical artifacts that they could theoretically sell for a fortune and keep them, but also their character invested in being an adventurer? How do I tell them, yes, I know you have this magical ring that turns you into a half-djinn, but come on, man, this town is a necromancer problem, and this is the adventure, go do it."
So, I didn't think about this until just now, but...
Just don't give them those?
Well, there's a half-djinn ring that you can turn into a djinn, but then there's also stuff that you could sell, and that you need to find a buyer.
That's the second I read this, I thought the solution to this is make them they can't find someone who has that.
Because most cities don't have the amount of people it requires to have the amount of rich people it requires to be able to purchase an item of that magnitude. Adventurers have way more wealth than your standard citizen, even relatively rich citizens, if they've been adventuring a while and have a treasure trove.
You might have run into this in games, particularly games from Obsidian or Bethesda or whatever, where you have a really expensive artifact and you can't find a merchant who will buy it from you, because that's kind of how the real world works.
Right.
Perhaps you've seen the television show Pawn Stars. That was a big, 8 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
So, just because you have something that is objectively worth something at market, theoretically, to a collector,
right,
doesn't mean that they'll be able to get that money for it. If they're really dead set on it, it's really fun if you want to make this an adventure. Make them have to find someone to sell it to.
Yes.
If they're motivated, if they want to get into the selling items and making money business, make that part of their motivation.
Right.
It's like they got to find a fence. They got to find someone who's going to buy this stuff. Maybe they have to infiltrate a black market auction house, and there's creepy a necromancer. Maybe the necromancer is there.
Right. And he wants to buy it.
It's like, oh, are you going to sell this to the necromancer?
Yeah.
And maybe the people who are being attacked are their buyers. So then they care about it. Also, give them something to spend that money on, and then they won't have the money anymore, and then they'll need more money.
Right. And so, but then the second part, I have a half-djinn ring, so I don't care about a necromancer. I think that's mostly just, appeal to their sense of decency. Like you go like there's people screaming, being tortured or something.
I do play a neutral evil character who, and his motivation is getting paid.
Right.
The thing is, you make money from adventuring, but you don't make an insane amount. You make appropriate for your character. Give them costs. Give them things to spend their money on. Like if they really care about having a big fancy house, make them have to pay rent.
Right.
Make them have to pay property taxes, or
And you combine that with not being able to find buyers for every single gem you come across, and you're starting to get to a solution.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things where you can play it loose with, oh, they can't find somebody to sell this stuff to. You can make that more automatic if that's not their primary motivator. You know what I mean? It's like once it's like, oh, if getting money is their whole deal,
right?
Make that more difficult because then there's a game.
Also, like, it's not super cool to steal a bunch of shit from your players, but I think just stealing monetary wealth, like stealing a bag of gold or something, is less of a dick move than like taking their enchanted plate mail or something.
Especially if they can get it back.
Right.
Through an adventure.
Yeah, so zombies walk off with your gold, and now you got to deal with the necromancer. I don't know.
Or pixies or gremlins or goblins.
Now, a necromancer that employs pixies, that's something I want to see.
Yeah, or a necromancer who coats his skeleton soldiers in gold because it makes them more resistant to magical attacks.
Portal travel.
Yeah.
You didn't necessarily know this, but there's a big plot line in Magic the Gathering, the set of Amonkhet, where there's all these zombies and mummies and shit, and then it turns out there's these secret mummies that are being lined with this like lapis lazuli like substance that makes them these crazy blue skeleton zombies.
That's kick-ass.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what you're saying, but instead of gold, it's like weird blue shit.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking of...
That was cool as fuck.
The one gold Shinigami from Death Note.
Oh, yeah?
There's like one guy in the Shinigami realm who's just like a gold skeleton death god. And he only has like 2 lines, but I love his design so much. He's like covered in gold and also gems. So he's just shiny and cool.
Yeah, I guess I only read the manga, which was all black and white. So I think I remember that character, but he obviously looks very different in that.
Yeah. He still looks cool, though. I looked him up because I was like, this guy kicks ass. Who is he? And, of course, the cool thing about Death Note is you don't really know. That's part of why all that stays so interesting, is it's not hyper-codified and over-explained.
Right. It's all kept kind of shadowy. Well, yeah, let's see. Any last thoughts? I can't really think of anything. I don't know.
I hope we helped you out. Seth.
Yeah, Seth. Sorry, buddy. Let us know how that goes. Yeah.
All right, do we want to do maybe one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Okay, this is from Twitter. Comes from Patrick, DPMD14.
Hell yeah.
Do you have any creative ways to improve NPC interrogations? My players always want to take an enemy alive and drill them for info. Is there a way to make that exchange more interesting than just intimidation rolls and fumbling through questions? This also comes to us on Twitter. If you want to ask questions, it's Master Manual Pod.
Hell yeah. On Twitter, mastermanualpod@gmail.com if you want to email questions.
Yeah.
But whatever you want. My first thought is, this is a circumstance where I feel like taking out skill rolls and just going into RP is maybe valuable. Generally speaking, I don't like skill rolls as a substitution for any sort of talking, because then you can just be all like, hey, my hand's up my ass. Why don't you let me buy your restaurant? And then it's like, well, no one would ever do that. I think we talked before. If you do that, you want to set the DC really high.
Yeah, let you use what they say to set the DC for the roll. So if they make a really convincing argument, it's like a 10 or a 5. They make a really bad one, it's maybe a 25 or a 30.
Yeah, so lean into the role playing and not just let them win intimidate rolls to gain progress is maybe my first thought.
Also, if they're doing this a lot, make it part of the mechanic. They often capture people and interrogate them for information.
They find that fun.
Yeah, you can build puzzles around that they need information from the people they capture. Of course, the second you make it crucial for them to have to do that is the second they will potentially stop doing it. So have a backup way for them to find that information, maybe.
Yeah, but like, I mean, you may have brought this up, but like, if they don't know anything, or they only know little bits of information, and they might not even want to volunteer that necessarily. So it's like they don't know very much, and then you have to really fight it out of them or whatever.
What's that thing? It's like if players have to know something, show it to them 3 times or something.
I don't know.
Or like
about
give
that.
it. It's I can't.
That's smart though.
I'll look it up and have it next time. But it's like you got to give them like either 3 ways to find it, or like tell it to them 3 different ways. Like any clue that is super important shouldn't be only accessible through one way.
Right. Yeah, because it's so easy to just like walk through a room and miss an obvious piece of evidence because of just circumstance.
The nice thing about being a DM is you can tweak it.
Yeah. That's a big part of being a DM is when someone walks past your cool thing to find a way to work that back in a way that's not railroady and is organic to the situation, makes them feel not like you just stapled it into the game, but makes them feel like they found something cool on their own without you trying to make it happen.
They can find it written down somewhere. They can find somebody. Players who constantly are shaking NPCs down for information sounds like a godsend.
Yeah, I would love that. That seems like a great thing to build out. But yeah, so like if they know the wrong thing, or they give you information that's false, and then you have to like follow up on that information to find out that it's false, and then if that guy's dead now because you killed him, then it's like, oh, well, now I don't have a way to determine whether or not he was lying or what, or then you make them have to go back to that person, interact with them again. It just kind of expands that into more of a game, because again, if your players keep doing that, it seems to either be something they find effective or something they find enjoyable. So if it's effective, you make it slightly less effective. If it's enjoyable, you find a way to make it more enjoyable.
Yeah, if it's tedious for if it's tedious for you, but it doesn't happen, and it's a thing that happens once or twice, but they seem to be having fun, just let it roll. It's fine.
Yeah. If it's not fun for anyone, then I would say make it less effective, because players will do the thing that's effective even if it's not fun, and then they'll get mad, and it's like, well, you're doing the thing that's not fun, but they're like, well, you're incentivizing it, so this is you.
Yeah, and I feel like this has been the theme of the episode, has been of all 3 of our questions. They keep doing the best attack. They only care about getting gold.
Right.
They keep shaking people down for information. Players will lean into what works or what has been incentivized.
Yes.
Find a way, if you want to mix it up, which I completely understand, because always DMing the same type of play can be boring. I mean, well, I don't know. What do you think about giving them wrong information?
I think it's fine, because if I was a bad guy who wanted my minions to do stuff, I wouldn't tell them anything. I would tell them wrong things. I would make it so that they couldn't turn traitor on me and really fuck me over, because as a person who doesn't trust people and is a villain, I would definitely not leave myself vulnerable in that way to the extent I could.
Yeah, like your minions aren't going to know what your secret backup layer is.
No, that would be insane. I think that generally, people assume, just because they haven't thought ahead too much, that minions and stuff know a lot more than they would actually reasonably expected to know.
Think about if you if you work at Walmart. Do you know where the guy who owns your particular branch lives?
No, man.
There you go.
I don't even know, I barely know anything about him except what he eats for lunch.
Most people are just working.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I guess I was asking you, yeah.
No, I just I was being hypothetical, too. Yeah. That was but it's that's the truth. That's what it is. No one knows what the fuck's going on, especially if it's you're committing crimes or murdering people.
Yeah.
There's a lot more vested interest in not knowing stuff like that.
You know your boss. If you're a villain and you have this sprawling organization, I feel like we get this a lot. It's a contrivance of narrative economy. And
right, in movies and stuff.
Yeah, it's the Joker is telling everybody, okay, Joker bad example because he might.
Dr. Evil from Austin Powers.
Yeah, it's what he shouldn't be ordering around everyone.
Right.
There should be, I don't think he is either. I know that there are definitely things where the top guys order around everybody. But
but get some middle managers.
He's going to have middle managers. And so maybe they follow that chain up. That's fun. That's a multi.
Right. It gives you more directions to interrogate and to elaborate on interrogation-based scenarios. So.
If these interrogations are making you uncomfortable, because I can see how that would be a thing. If they're making people at the table, it sounds like you're bored, though. Yeah,
it seems more just like you aren't enjoying it. And so then hopefully if you dig into it, kind of expand on it a bit more, it gives you more to do.
Yeah, make the people they're interrogating really contentious.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Right. That's exactly. Yeah, you're varying it up. It's almost like a combat, but you're making it different kind of values and different kind of circumstances to shake things up.
Also, if they like take the person prisoner, have the occasionally roll and have the prisoner try to escape.
Sure.
Or like betray them or raise an alarm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't think of a prisoner as somebody who immediately becomes compliant.
Right. Yeah. They absolutely shouldn't be compliant.
Like they could be yelling for help.
And that's why I want to lean away from just rolls and rolls and rolls, because I think that you might be like, no, I intimidate him to not do that. And it's like, well, I mean, come on. I don't know. Whatever. Hopefully that answers your question.
I think we gave him a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Yeah, man.
Very good
Thanks.
question.
Let us know how it goes.
Yeah. All right. We've answered some questions. We've played some games.
You know what it's time for?
Is it time for Animals?
Animals.
Alternate monster lore, baby.
You know it is.
Hashtag Amlinals.
Yeah, man. If you got any hashtags,
get in there.
Get in there.
All right. So what are we talking about this time?
I don't know. What are we talking about? I feel like we mentioned it before the show, but doing the show made me forget.
Yeah, I think what we talked about before the show is how we didn't have one, which is usually the case. And then we have to come up with one in the moment.
So my first instinct is just lizard people. I know we skipped lizard people last time, but maybe we should give it a shot. We don't have to do that, but...
Okay, lizard... Oh, Kraken.
Krakens?
Krakens. All right, lizard people next time for sure.
See, this is lizard people is a great way to get to the real answer.
Yeah, because I'm like, what do I want to do instead of that?
Yeah, exactly. So Krakens, giant squids, completely corporeal creatures. You understand what a squid is?
Yeah. So Krakens in D&D are like practically gods, or like demigods. They're very powerful.
Yeah,
they're like
just in the sense they're giant monsters.
They're like stronger than dragons.
Yeah.
Or like some dragons.
Yeah, they're less magical though, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
They can do weather control stuff.
Right.
That's their big, or like sea control. They have a lot of control over the sea in the area around them. They have a lot of aquatic minions.
Really?
Yeah. Like a lot of, I think they often have worshippers. Like there's like a whole deal.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it was as big of a thing in like previous editions, but the stuff in the monster manual about Krakens is like some of my favorite stuff in the whole monster manual.
Yeah, I guess I don't look at high-level monsters very often because they just don't come up too commonly.
I think that's why I look at them in the manual, because I'm like, well...
I'm never going to do this.
Yeah, there's stuff to center whole campaigns around, theoretically. I've told you about that campaign I did where like a desert is a prison for a Kraken.
Right.
People think is a god.
Thirsty Pete?
Yeah, Thirsty Tom and Lightning Luke.
Thirsty Tom.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, shit. Oh, man. I thought my mic died. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that would have been rough.
It would have been bad. So my first instinct, just putting it out there, is Space Squids. Is Space Squid something?
It could be. There was an episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog. It was really good. Let's do that.
Okay.
So Squids and
Space Krakens. I don't know.
How do the players interact with them? What are
they're like living ships almost. Like,
what if these are the things that Hunger of Hadar tentacles comes from?
What?
Do you know Hunger of Hadar?
No, I really don't. I have no idea.
Okay, it's the spell. It's like it create. It's like a. It's I know that warlocks do get it, and it's a thing. It's like it opens up basically like the abyss of space, and it's like pitch black. Are you being picked up?
Yeah. No,
and
it's
then
fine. Sorry.
The description everybody remembers is that like there are like milky white tentacles attack, and it's super gross. But I like the idea of space squids because that's where I'm saying that Hunger of Hadar tentacles. So
yeah,
they're migratory.
Yeah, I would imagine sure. Like I don't know. I mean, maybe this is too like Tyranids or something, but I imagine like the space squid is almost like a living ship for like either a race that is symbiotic with space squids has like learned to work with the space squids.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's because my first thought was like, how are the players interacting with this thing in like a accessible way?
Right.
This enormous thing in space,
and because it's a location more than a monster. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're being assailed by some sort of like parasite / symbiote thing that lives within, right? It would be inside.
Yeah.
Ooh, the different tentacles could be like different. whole different areas, like almost like different. It's almost like a living city in space.
Yeah,
for these things,
and there's different kind of tentacles too, like just in a normal squid, I think. So like that could kind of flavor what.
Oh yeah, there's the two by the mouth. I think we might just be completely full of shit. But
well, let's just make it up, like
so
implying that is true.
Okay, so there's two by the mouth. Those would be the strong. Those would be like a spider has like it's the
mandibles,
the two little kikis by its mouth. Yeah.
I call them mandibles, but I think they're known by their scientific name, the kikis.
The kikis, yeah, they're good. They're the best ones. Kiki leggies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so space squid.
Yeah, so we got their location. What's living in them then? I mean, maybe this is getting too off topic, but I think that's important here.
Okay, some kind of, I guess like ithilids.
Sure. Yeah, that's the thing is that I feel like if Illithids or Mind Flayers have sort of Nautilus-like ships, but this is like a riff on them. So like maybe this is a new, like instead of the Elder Brain, it's like Space Squid is the focus of Mind Flayers, and so they come from Space Squids and they live in Space Squids and they come to the surface and back instead of living in the Underdark.
And they can control it.
Yeah.
Which is the thing that Mind Flayers can't do. The brain, they just eats them.
Right.
They're actually like, I like the idea of them actually like digging into the brain and like controlling it very slowly, so they can like, it's now become like an almost like mechanical organism. So they could like have like a tentacle swipe down from space and like scrape a huge gash through the whole, like a whole ward of a city. And then, the heroes have to like jump onto it and climb up and try to get in, and maybe they find like an access port and they're fighting their way up to the thing and disrupting. And so maybe at first it just seems like a giant serpent that is attacking, and
then
it
comes
like,
from the sky.
Yeah, and then it's like, because they don't have telescopes or whatever, and then they get up and they realize, oh, there's so many, and then it's a whole deal.
Yeah, or like you see some Illithids fucking around, and then it's like, and some like a seer or a soothsayer is like, this is gonna become apocalyptic real quick.
Yeah,
and then the fucking sky tentacle, and then it's like, this is bad news. And then you go from there, and then you're like invading the space squid.
Yeah, so space squids, I think, is what we're going with for our name. So let's summarize. Okay. So what are they like biologically? Are they able to survive in space?
Yeah. They eat stars.
Okay, but it takes them a bit.
But not like they munch on them. Like they absorb
solar energy.
Yeah,
but they can't absorb from the same sun forever.
Right.
Like they get it, but it's like after too long it starts to poison them, and they have to migrate to another star.
Yeah, they're very particular.
Yeah. They have like a weird biology, possibly as a product of having ithilids go into their brain. Am I saying that right? Is it ithilids?
I think it's Illithids.
Illithids, okay. Possibly as a product of having Illithids work on their brain, they have to like go to a different star.
Right. So they absorb energy from the sun, but like they have to like eat real mass to kind of build themselves out. So that's why they might attack planets on their own or something, or just like absorb asteroids or something.
So what are Illithids doing? Why are they doing this? Do they worship the thing?
I think it's just like the first thing that they really figured out is like, hey, we're from this crazy place where there's these giant space squids. Let's do that.
And are they just feeding people to the squid?
No, I think they're just using it as a place. Like they make the squid eat the planet and stuff like as a weapon and just to kind of as gas, like to keep it filled up. But being mind flayers, they want to eat brains, and so they really are just going from place to place trying to get brains. But like the final stage of invasion or something is the contact with the space squid.
Yeah, I like that. So like once they're kind of done, like filling up on the local brains.
Yeah, because Illithids, they infiltrate, they entrench their position. They usually start using mind control to start gaining control over local politics to change the policies to get them more brains. And then once they start gaining enough power, then they start making more overt power plays.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like Gene Stealers, I think.
From
Warhammer. You mentioned Tyranids, and they like when they introduced Tyranids, they retconned Gene Stealers to be like a Tyranid offshoot.
Yeah, like not just straight pureblood Tyranids, but like a weird mutant branch based on
they
Space Marine DNA or something.
Yeah, like it's like they get their DNA altered in Space Hulks.
Yeah,
and then like one gets sent back, and it creates like a whole Primarch and a whole like thing, and then they just, when the Tyranids attack, they're just like disrupting all the communication and everything.
Man, I would love to see Tyranids statted out for D&D. That would be fucking kick-ass.
Oh yeah. God, it's so hard because it's like everything in that is designed to like fight at this absurd scale. That I mean, D&D is, I guess we can talk for a second. The origin of D&D originally was
called chainmail.
Yeah, which was a way to, instead of fight army to army, it was like soldier to soldier.
Right.
Smaller groups, and it got smaller and smaller to the point where you're just controlling one adventurer. Kind of similarly to how Warcraft 3 became Dota, became
League of Legends.
There you go.
So, any last thoughts? Any last things for the Space Squid? It's mostly like a riff on Mind Flayers, but that's good. I mean, it's a riff on both.
I love the idea of huge starships.
And I fucking love Mind Flayers and want any excuse to put them in like literally every campaign. I always want Mind Flayers to be like the whole point of the campaign, but you can't just start with Mind Flayers because they're like challenge rating 8 or something.
Yeah, you got to,
and they're hard at that.
Yeah, they got to be controlling.
Yeah,
they got to be in the shadows,
behind the scenes and such.
I feel like there's a lot of good stuff in D&D to scale up. There's like, you're getting attacked by kobolds, which leads to winged kobolds, which leads eventually to dragons.
Yeah,
etc. The same as Krakens have those little, they have, like I mentioned, they have their little guys.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember what they are.
They're minions. They're cracklings. Cracklins. So that's Space Squids?
Yeah.
You can use them in your campaign if you want. I don't know. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I won't be offended.
Let's when we post this episode for the Instagram, let's post a pic from that Courage the Cowardly Dog episode.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Okay. Well, great. Do you got any last minute business, final thoughts, anything?
Not at present. I do want to say that the response we posted a couple of weeks ago. When you're listening to this, it'll be like 6 weeks ago, but we posted the first episode last week. The response has been very positive.
Yeah.
Like we've gotten a lot of really great feedback, and I just want to say that it means a lot.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
It seems like people were looking for something like this. When we decided to do it, I had the thought that there wasn't a lot of things fulfilling this niche, so hopefully that's true. Once we started recording, I saw the name of a podcast that I didn't check out that seemed like it might also talk about DMing, and then I saw on Critical Role, the most famous DM in the world, fucking Matt Mercer, has like these streams, they're called like Tableside Chats or something, which I think is almost exactly him trying to give D&D tips and stuff.
And they do, Adventure Zone does the Adventure Zone, and where Griffin sometimes talks about this specifically.
Right.
But
so not 100% untapped market, but
the nice thing about us is we don't, we do. I was going to say we don't have like a compelling D&D campaign to attach it to, but we literally do because we have yours.
Yeah, compelling in quotes, huh?
Entertaining.
Sure. Entertaining in quotes, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm on Twitter.
The challenge rating for giving you a compliment is like 35.
No, it's good. I like it. The thing is, when people give me compliments, my immediate reaction is they're either wrong or lying, and I don't know why any of this is happening, but I gotta figure it out. So yeah, what are you on Twitter? I don't know.
Oh yeah, Cohen is a ghost at Skullmandible. Follow us on at Master Manual Pod.
Yep, write us an email, mastermanualpod@gmail.com.
Check out the Reddit.
Yeah.
As of me saying this, there's nothing on it. Maybe that'll be different.
Check out the Discord. Cohen said something, and then I yelled at him just to kind of put content on the Discord.
Yeah, so that's there.
Check it out. I don't know. We're lonely.
Yeah, it's fun.
Say hi.
Yeah, we want to engage with our burgeoning fan base.
Our budding fan base.
Our budding buddies.
Our budding buddies. That's the name of the community, the budding buddies.
Yeah.
I even saying that's going to put it, I mean, not that anyone will use it. Whatever. Let's move off of it. All Until next time.
It looks like we booked it again.
Looks like we booked it again.
Bye.
Take care.